Sabah everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the P series of Huawei devices. This is the P50 Pro. It's known for the photography functionalities, the innovation, the new camera system that they always introduce with the P series. Ever since the P20 Pro, I've been very impressed with what Huawei's been able to do in collaboration with Leica on their devices. Let's go ahead and check out the P50 Pro and let's talk about the things that I liked. This is TK. Let's talk about the P50 Pro. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. So here we have it, the P50 Pro in its packaging. Now there's going to be two different colors. There's the cocoa gold as well as the golden black, and that's the one I have. You probably have seen the cocoa gold on most other creators, and I find that this color actually looks really nice. The black color with the accented gold accents here look really nice. Huawei, Leica, all written in nice and gold. So overall, very nice. And of course, they include a free case here. This is a clear case to allow you to enjoy the actual device. A USB-A to USB-C cable here to be able to support the 66-watt charger that does come in the box. And this is going to be the fastest charging to be able to charge the 4,360 milliampere that we have in here. And of course, we're also able to charge it wirelessly up to 50 watts. So pretty fast charging regardless, 50 and 66. And that was pretty much it, what you get in the box. There's a SIM removal tool, a few documentation, but for the most part, that's pretty much it. And definitely a very nice fact that we do have a charger in the box. Now, before we go too far, I do want to mention the fact that this device does not support Google Play services. And what that means essentially is that your applications need to be installed using the app gallery and pedal search that's already pre-built in to the operating system here. We are running off of Android. This is running EMUI 12.0.1, although it is on top of Android, not running on Harmony OS, as we've seen with some of the other variants of the P50 Pro that was released in China. So a couple of little background information there, but App Gallery will be our app store here built into this device. Now, when it comes to the specifications, this device by no means is a slouch. It definitely features some of the latest and greatest specifications that we can get on the market. I will say though, the processor that we have in here is the Snapdragon 888 with 4G technology, no 5G capabilities on this variant. And it is not, there is no version of it that runs with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. So technically last year's processor, although very capable, and of course running with 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of internal storage with expandable storage. And that's something that we don't hear on flagship devices, with the exception of Sony at this time. So the SIM tray at the bottom here that we have houses either two SIM cards or a SIM card and a nano memory card that is a Huawei proprietary memory. Now, yes, it's technically not an SD card, but you're able to add up to as much as you want with the nano memory. And for me, I've already added 125 gigabytes of external storage with a nano memory card that I have on top of my SIM card in here. So we're running this on 4G LTE on T-Mobile here in the US, and of course, expanding the memory. The camera stack on the back is actually an impressive stack to start with. First and foremost, the primary sensor is a 50 megapixel sensor. It's a color sensor at f1.8 aperture with optical image stabilization. The secondary sensor is a monochrome sensor, and it's also a true chroma sensor similar to the main one, but it's a 40 megapixel sensor and at f1.6. So I'm happy to see that the chroma sensors came back to Huawei devices. They used to be kings of basically black and white photography, and now we actually have a dedicated chroma sensor that helps us with that. A 13 megapixel ultra-wide lens at f2.2 and a 64 megapixel telephoto lens at f3.5 with OIS as well as autofocusing. So the camera stack to start with is literally hitting it out of the park. So really nice. The front-facing camera that we have in here is a 13 megapixel sensor at f2.4 with autofocusing on the front. 4K 60 is the maximum on the front and on the back when it comes down to video photography or video recording. The display that we have in here is a 6.6-inch 120 Hz refresh rate. A fingerprint sensor is beneath the display. We have an accented power button, volume rocker on the right, and a secondary speaker, bottom fire speaker for stereo speakers. We also have an IR blaster, and as I mentioned to you guys, we also have the SD card and of course expandable storage with the nano memory option. As far as the actual display, it's 120 Hz 2K OLED display, so it's really nice. And the entire system here is IP68 rated, so water and dust resistant up to 30 minutes in 1 meter or 1 meter of water, fresh water specifically. Other than that, as I mentioned to you guys, we are running EMUI basically 12.0.1. We'll go ahead and swipe down. We'll go under About Phone. P50 Pro model number is JADLX9. Build number is 12.0.1.196. This is the global edition, and that is part of basically the EMUI version. It is not running Harmony OS, it is on top of Android. 8 gigs of RAM, Snapdragon 888, 4G mobile platform, dual SIM support, 256 gigs of internal storage, which I did add another 125 gigs with the expandable nano memory. And of course, the maximum resolution is 2700 by 1228. So roughly a 2K resolution. Security patch update of January 1st, 2022. So definitely running on the latest security patch on our device. Now that we've covered all the specifications, we've done the unboxing, everything's pretty much settled. Let's talk about the things that I really enjoy about this device. Now, first and foremost, I'll start off by saying it's a personal preference, and some may like it, some may not. But this actually has curvature on both the front and on the back, and it is definitely very, very nice. We have a pre-applied screen protector that comes straight out of the box. I did not have to do anything to that. The always-on display looks beautiful. The ability of using the actual device as a fitness tracker is definitely very interesting. This is something that Huawei's been doing for some time, and it kind of hits talks about a little bit on how we see some of their other fitness bands and so on. As you notice here on the top left, I am running this on T-Mobile in the US. 4G LTE is picked up. And one thing to note is, even though this is not running Harmony OS, it still looks like Harmony OS on Android. So if I swipe down from the left side, I have notification section here. If I swipe down from the right side, I got the basically control center or control panel. Access to the media player, the toggles are all present in here. You're able to customize screen recording. Wireless projection is still here. iComfort, Huawei Share. Of course, Device Plus will work with other devices that support Huawei technology, Bluetooth, and of course, Wi-Fi. It just expands. It is really very nice. Definitely taking a lot of inspiration from other companies, but it looks really nice. Getting into the settings tab, this is pretty straightforward. We have access to, obviously, to log in with our Huawei ID, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, mobile network, Device Plus to access other systems, more connections for easy projection, NFC, Huawei Share, VPN, and of course, private DNS. As far as the actual configuration, home and wallpaper, straightforward. You can customize the icons, the wallpaper, the always-on display, the theme, and of course the magazine unlock and home screen settings and all of that. All of them can be customized from here or directly from the home screen. Display and brightness, overall pretty much straightforward. Brightness, auto brightness, dark mode, sleep configuration, and of course under more display settings where you're able to go into full display, and of course the cutout if you want to hide the camera, the punch hole camera or not. Under refresh rate, by default, it is set to dynamic, which means it will adjust to save you battery, although you are able to push it into 120 Hertz all the time. I keep it under dynamic because I feel like it gives me a good balance between the two. Resolution, pretty much the same thing, gives it under smart resolution or high or low. I personally like to keep it there, so I don't necessarily have to drain the battery. It is not running the largest battery on the in the market at 4360, although it is running one of the nice 2K 120 Hertz refresh rate displays. Battery has actually been really nice considering the fact that we are running in automatic mode. Sound and vibration, pretty much straightforward. The haptics are really, really nice. We have dual SIM cards, so obviously we're going to have dual ringtones. We can customize the options. Under sound booster, this is something that you're able to use with Bluetooth headphones, even though they recommend you using them with Huawei ones. You can definitely use it with your own. Under more settings, we can go and customize basically call broadcast, all the other information, and then system haptics if you want to turn them on. I will say that by default, the volume level is set to be under ringtone. You need to change that over to media if you want that. Otherwise, it'll automatically configure it to that. Under biometrics and password, we're able to use pins, passwords, as well as fingerprint, and of course, basically the front-facing camera for face unlock. Apps, batteries, storage, as I mentioned to you guys, you can customize security, privacy, and then the location. Now we do have digital balance, Huawei Assistant, and of course accessibility features. Now the Huawei Assistant is built in here, and you are able to activate it by using the command Hey Celia. Now Hey Celia, just make sure you don't have that activated on your system and you're able to configure it. So under username and accounts, this is where we can double check our accounts that we're logged into. HMS Core, obviously, to be able to update and make sure everything's running correctly. System and updates, which we looked before. And under about device, everything runs pretty much the same. Overall, the UI element is one of the things I really like. It's simple, it's easy, it's intuitive. Swiping down from the top takes me directly into system search as well as the news, so I'm able to actually do searches or information. And again, we have the ability of kind of opening it up from one side to the other. So if I go over here and I go ahead and click on the Wi-Fi, it does turn off, and you'll see here on the top left that I am running on T-Mobile on LTE. And in my area, I've been able to test it out. And again, since it is 4G LTE, I've been getting like 50 down, about 9 up, and of course 21 and a 0.5. So depending where you are, your connection is going to be different. But overall, I've been able to use it and it works very nicely. Now, what I did say also at the beginning is this is part of the things I like. The design, the EMUI implementation look really nice. One thing that I really appreciate and I really like about EMUI is the fact that it supports EMUI Desktop. And that's the ability of using EMUI, basically wireless projection. So if you open up the notification panel, you'll notice there's an option here that says wireless projection. You're able to turn on, enable Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and connecting it to anything like, let's say, even a Samsung TV that supports basically projection options into it, you can enable it there. And of course, wireless projection, this is searching for devices. And what it does essentially, it gives us the ability of connecting to monitors or TVs that use that technology. Samsung monitors, as I'm showing you guys right now, TVs work perfectly for this example. And I'm able not only to project the screen, as in using the desktop mode, which is EMUI Desktop, I'm also actually able to use screen mirroring wirelessly. So all of this has been things that have been available for us for quite some time on EMUI. And I'm really happy to see that not only are they here, but they work very nicely. One of the things I really enjoy using though is my Nextdock 360, and that gives me the ability of running this phone as a laptop. So although we're using the connectivity from the smartphone, we can also leverage some of those functionality in the EMUI Desktop in a connected way. So this is one of my favorite ways of doing so. Using it, it's pretty straightforward, nothing to do other than plug it into a compatible system like the Nextdock, and it'll automatically ask you to activate it. And once you activate it, your phone gets charged directly from the Nextdock, and you're able to still use your phone and the Nextdock very nicely. I'll give you guys a link in the description to some of the other videos I've done in the past showcasing compatibilities for Nextdock with EMUI, with Samsung's One UI, and of course what we used to have back in the day with LG UI. So we've talked about the design, we've talked about the fact that this display is gorgeous. Again, QHD resolution, a little bit less, but it runs at 120 Hertz. So there's not going to be a big issue at all getting things done. As I mentioned to you guys at the beginning, App Gallery is the system that we use to be able to install applications, find different things, and set them up. Now, if for any reason, let's say you're looking for a specific app that does not seem to be in here. So let's go here and we'll go Instagram. You'll notice that first thing is it gives us the results of App Gallery. Now, if App Gallery does not have the app, which their collection is getting bigger every day, you'll notice that Pedal Search jumps in and gives us the ability of looking at the other options that are available. So first and foremost, you'll notice the first one is Pedal Search. It is installed, and the source here is apkpure.instagram. So you're able to do that there, or you're also able to basically, let's say, download another one. So let's go ahead and hit say get. This is Instagram Lite. It's going to take me straight to apkpure. This is the link, and it automatically gives me the link to download and install it. This is without me having to scroll, see any ads or anything like that. And it works the same way when I'm installing it, or if I, let's say, have the ability of updating it. So an example would be if there is an update to this, it'll give me the option to update, and it'll take me to the same step and install it. I was able to install Netflix, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, Telegram, Twitter. Booking does come in, and then these were pre-installed. Speed Test, Asphalt Night. I also do have the Amazon App Store. And since we're running on Android, this works pretty much exactly as it would before. So whatever apps you have available on the App Store, they'll work directly there. As far as the actual other things here, I installed PUBG, Metroland, that was directly from the App Gallery. Shadowgun, that was installed directly from the Amazon App Store. And of course, I'm also able to run Amazon Music since that's also available there. Now, you'll notice here on the folder on the left, you'll be like, what is that? Well, those are actually applications I was able to install. First and foremost, you'll notice that the Google Files app installs perfectly, and as well as Google Chrome runs perfectly. And that's because Google Chrome does not require Google Play services to run. So you're able to download it as an APK, and it runs perfectly. And the same thing with Google Files, it runs and it does not need Google Play services. So those are things you want to keep in mind. Not every Google application won't work here. Now, Gmail does require it, and some of the other ones will. But one thing I did find for me, at least, a way for me to be able to kind of circumvent or at least get my Google stuff running here as much as I could. First and foremost, I was able to use the email app here. You'll notice I have 11 emails, and I did link that up directly to my Google account. But I can also do the same thing when I go into the into Chrome and create shortcuts. An example would be here. Let's say I click the Gmail one, and this one takes me into the web interface of Gmail. So this is very straightforward, very easy. I'm also able to do the same thing for YouTube, and YouTube loads in. I'm able to log in with my account, all of the stuff, my normal playlist, and everything works out. The only concern though is there is no notification, so that's something to keep in mind. Same thing with Drive. You're also able to add YouTube Music, and then same thing here with YouTube Music. As you can see, I'm able to access my playlist and of course listen to my audio. Now, if you have Amazon Music, this doesn't have a big problem. So those are the things I'm able to do to kind of get my stuff running. Pedal Search works exactly the same the way it did before, and we're able to download and install other applications in there. Then there's a lot more applications that are actually natively supported now that you're able to install and customize. One thing I will say, within the last 2 weeks, ever since I've received the P50 Pro, all of my content that I've been posting on Reels and Shorts have been created using the cameras on this device. And that's going to be one of my favorite things, obviously, about this device, since this is a P series smartphone, and it is obviously going to be living and using the cameras that we have. Again, quad camera setup in the back, one camera in the front. We have photography, portrait, night, and of course aperture mode, all of the different functions that we've had. Under photography, we have the ability of using AI functionality and turning it off. We're also able to basically change the different filters here. We have some Leica specific filters that are built in here. Leica standard is what we use. And of course, you're able to jump into video. Same thing. We have the ability of customizing the option. 4K 60 frames per second is going to be the best resolution that we can shoot here. And the beautiful part about this is that we can use the same resolution on the front as well as on the back. So if I switch it over to the front, that same experience stays the same. And of course, we have a Pro mode that gives us the ability of customizing it. We can shoot in RAW and JPEG log, or as well as just JPEG. I'm keeping it as JPEG for now. And then of course, last but not least, we have slow motion, panorama, monochrome to be able to use the monochrome lens by itself, AR lens, time lapse, stickers, document, dual view for recording front facing and back facing video, and of course high res just gives us the ability of using the high res photography, or the highest quality 50 megapixel here. If you want to use it at the highest quality, just jump into the high res mode. Story creator, and of course snapshot that is already built in NTS. And of course, if anything else, you can go in here and download additional ones, but they're already built in. So if they ever do add new modes, you're able to customize it, and of course edit the list the way you want it from the settings at the top. Let me show you real quick a front-facing sample of the video on the front camera and the main sensor on the back, of course on the Huawei P50 Pro. We're going to start off with the front-facing camera here on the brand new P50 Pro. Now, one thing I loved about P50 devices, or at least Huawei devices, at least within the last generation, is the ability of recording 4K 60 frames per second on both the main sensors on the back as well as on the front. We're doing that right now with the front-facing camera. We're going to obviously switch over to the main sensor on the back. But again, 4K 60 is something to appreciate on a device, since technically these devices are high-performance devices and we should be able to use them at their full potential. Now we're using the primary sensor in the back. 4K 60 frames per second is the maximum we can get here. There is no 8K, even though we have the 888 as the main processor here. Overall performance is very consistent. Color reproduction and everything looks really good. Now, obviously, we are able to jump into different modes, but this is going to be the best performing sensor on the back. Front-facing 4K 60 and back-facing 4K 60 on the P50 Pro. And as you saw there, I took those videos from the Descanso Garden, not that far from where I live, and there's going to be a lot more pictures that I'm going to share with you guys about some of the capabilities there. But let's jump in real quick to an audio sample now. We're going to go volume 100% here on the speakers. Again, dual stereo speakers, one at the top and one at the bottom. That gives us the ability of having stereo speakers on this device. This is Alex Crindo Jumbo by NCS release, and I am running it on the mobile side from the YouTube side. So this is running inside of Chrome, so I can swipe up in here and you can definitely see it. It runs Chrome, and one thing I like about it is the fact that I'm actually able to basically resize the window. I can actually also make it bigger, smaller, move it around, or of course, last but not least, minimize it and keep it as a little window like that. So pop-up windows are very nice. And so go ahead and play the song again, 100%. And we're going to go full screen.
Jack it up.
And what I like about it is because this requires us to have Chrome running in the foreground for the music to keep playing, you can't do it when the screen is off, you're actually able to keep it this way and enjoy the content while you're scrolling through other options. Again, if you want to make it bigger or make it just maybe more prominent, go ahead and use it. And if you want to put it aside and come back to it later, just shrink the actual screen, put it on the right, and then bring it back when you don't need it. And when you're done, just go ahead and hit the X and it puts it down. And of course, as far as multi-window, if we swipe back here and hold it for a little bit longer, we're able to jump on into the multi-window function option here. So again, we can open up Chrome, runs it into this window, and of course I can open up other applications. Let's say I want to open up the gallery, pretty much straightforward, and I can make the gallery fit on top of it, open it up, and interface with it. And if I want to close any window, just close them right away, and it works really nice. Multitasking, absolutely really, really nice. Now, as far as gaming, we have access to the game space. You're able to jump in here, log in. Obviously, since you're logged into your account, you can actually also use some accessories if you want. We have multi-touch prevention, disable knuckle gestures, so you don't have to accidentally initiate split screen for some reason. You're able to customize it, and of course, discover different games or just access the games that you have. And if it does not show it, you can go ahead and click the plus game option here, and it'll download those games for you or add them directly into the player. Once you're in, you can go ahead and select the game you want to launch. An example would be here. This was already loaded just for reference. Swiping down from the top here gives us access to the shortcut option. Again, similar option. You're able to turn on the game mode. So performance mode is turned on as it says right there. And it just runs the system at its full potential. So I'll give you guys a couple samples here, some gaming on the P50 Pro. As you saw there, gaming on this is just going to be as good as any of the other 888 powered smartphones on the market. We have 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of internal storage, 66-watt charging, so there was never going to be a situation where we couldn't charge the phone or keep it charged, but also use all the functions that we have on the smartphone and still enjoy it. EMUI 12.0.1 runs really well. Again, this version is on Android, which means you can pretty much sideload almost any application. Now, I was using Pedal Search, APK, the APK store here, App Gallery, as well as the ability of using the Amazon App Store. And of course, you can download and install any of your other third-party app stores and of course, get your applications, set them up, update them, and do everything there. App Gallery and actually Pedal Search have gotten a lot better than some of the earlier versions that I've seen on the market, or at least on earlier generations of Huawei devices, where it actually not only installs and runs everything correctly for me, it actually almost functions as a regular app store without having to actually install the APK Pure application store, although that's a separate thing you can. It actually integrates quite well to Pedal Search. So for the most part, I think you can almost get everything that you want to run on this, and it runs well. When it comes down to Google Play services, there is no way of getting them on this right now. So the main thing that you have is, you saw, I have Chrome installed. Google Files run without GMS, so those are independent apps. And because I can install Chrome, I'm able to run web-based version of applications with shortcuts to my desktop. So I was able to access the YouTube web-based interface, the Gmail web-based interface, of course, Google Drive, as well as YouTube Music. And for the most part, they work the same way as any other device. But that's something to keep in mind if you're thinking about picking up a P50 Pro. So who do I think is the perfect customer for this phone? If somebody's looking for a high-performance smartphone that has an amazing camera system, I'm talking about front-facing camera for video as well as photography, loves using monochrome sensor, basically monochrome imagery for black and white photography, the ability of actually having some of the latest technologies, 4G LTE, 888, latest, one of the latest Snapdragon processors that are available on the market, expandable storage, great audio, the speakers sound amazing, again, some of the best experiences you can get. It does support third-party application store. It does not support Google Play services, so that may be something that sways you in either purchasing it or not necessarily. But at the end of the day, what Huawei is doing with the P50 Pro is providing us the latest capabilities and the latest offering as far as camera performance. And for me, one of the better camera systems on the market to date. No 8K recording, although I feel like 4K 60 is or should be the standard for me, as I like to record everything in that capacity as far as quality, and of course editing quality for me later on. If I want to be able to crop in or do something, the images will always look great. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I realize that this may not be necessarily for everybody, but if somebody's looking for this type of combination, I think Huawei hit it out of the park. Thank you very much for the support. Like and subscribe as usual, and of course, I'll see you in the next video.